So I have a cool story time. I'm walking with my scooter in Arizona. It's so hot out here, but it's hard to stay away from nature, so I try to come out here anyway and walk. But I have a cool story that just happened. So I had some brownies that I got from the grocery store, and I didn't know that they had dairy in them until I brought them home. Well, got them delivered through DoorDash and with my groceries. And I looked on the back, because you always got to check the back of ingredients when you're vegan. A lot of stuff is marketed in a certain way that can trick you if you're not careful. But so I got these brownies and they had milk and eggs in them, and I'm like, can't eat them. You know, you gotta have them sweets here and there, man. They're so good. And so I instinctively felt immediately that I wanted to give it to my neighbors. So last night I knocked on the neighbor's door and he wasn't home. And then today I got the message, hey, try these neighbors. Now these neighbors are really like high energy. Like, she be blasting her music. She cooks every day. She's always laughing. I like her energy. And so they don't speak much English either, these neighbors. Now the one last night, I went to him solely because he's one of the neighbors that speaks English, and I was like, okay, he'll be able to understand me. But he wasn't home, so he missed out. And so I then went to the neighbors that spoke Spanish, and the only reason I didn't go to them first is because of the language barrier. But I know poquito español, you know. So I gave her some brownies, and then within like 2 hours, I heard a knock at my door. 2 hours after I gave her the brownies, and I was like, oh, she's about to offer me food, and this is about to be a complicated conversation because I don't really speak English and I'm vegan, and she don't even know the reason I gave her the brownies was because the milk and dairy, or the milk and eggs. So sure enough, she knocked on my door with a plate in her hand, and I'm like, oh man, like, you got this, Casey. She started talking, and I'm like, poquito español. And then she said, sí, hi. Then she said, sí, poquito English. And I said, okay. So we sat there for like 10 minutes with this bowl in her hand, and she's like, I say, no carne. I'm trying to remember how to say the words. I'm like, no carne? She said, oh. Then she said, fajitas or something like that, and started pointing to stuff, and I said, leche, no leche. And she's like, oh, and you can just feel her spirit melting. And then she started saying the Spanish word for lettuce, and I'm like, oh, lettuce. See, lettuce. But what she was trying to give me with lettuce, it had like this crumbled white cheese on it, and I was like, leche, no leche. And she said, oh, and I kept telling her, it's okay, gracias, it's okay, you know. But I understand when you're wanting to give somebody that same energy they gave you, and just wanting to be respectful and give me food, which I would have loved 11 years ago before I went vegan, 12 years ago. So I wanted her to know that it's okay. But then after I kind of rejected the energy, I thought when I went home I could have said ensalada. I thought about that. I'm like, I could have said ensalada because she was trying to give me lettuce, but also I didn't want, you know, just a plate of iceberg lettuce. But in my head, I'm like, okay, well, if she was just wanting to give me like a gratitude, then I would have took the lettuce. I wouldn't have ate it though. I've been there before with people, you know, they give you what they deem as a salad and then you can't eat it, and I waste it, and I don't like to waste food. So I thought that was a really beautiful exchange as someone who loves genuine connection, and especially neighborly genuine connection, when you can step outside and speak to neighbors and the language barrier isn't in a way. So that made me really happy that I wanted to share. I'm tired. It's like at least 113 today. I gotta get in the house. But peace and love. And my scooter says, hold on, scooter, from my scooter to you. Peace.